Hi, I'm Kazu Apollo,
I am Sword King.
am Miranda Rosalie.
and this is now going to turn into a debate series. We are going to talk about video games, card games, shows, anime, and other YouTube videos,
Mm,
and debate
I,
other things about them. What could be better
and,
and what was weird.
and we want to
Everything in
preference this is
Morpheus,
that
operator,
these are just
is
our
now
opinions. We do not intend to offend or upset
I will
people with
attend
our
to bypass
opinions.
this fault.
If your opinion is different from ours, that is fine. You are welcome to have your different opinion from the rest of us. That's okay. We don't intend to have a fight about this. We just want to voice our opinions and stuff and let people hear our side of certain things and our thoughts on it.
Yeah, so please respect our opinions. If you have any differing opinions, there's a comment section that you can comment on. That's all we can offer.
hmm
So, I think we should save the Yu-Gi-Oh ones, to be honest, now for actually a full video.
Why? I mean, it'd be good for anything.
Yeah, but I have to pull those cards out of nowhere, and actually, when I upload, to paste them because I can easily Photoshop and put them into the video.
Well, trust me, it's also best to not do it for all of it because certain monsters, like, there's a lot of them, so it's best just to tell people to, like, look around, like, trust me, it wouldn't be worth it to try to actually do that, Kazu. I'm gonna warn you now because there's so many cards.
A little time. So many cards. Wait, I did that wrong.
Alright, well, so as we are going to re-debate Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're going to go on the first card that we talk about, the God cards. Let Sword take it from here.
So, when it comes to the Egyptian god cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the anime, Ra was obviously the strongest because he had the most effects and the most ways to be used. Either just summon them normally by attributing three monsters and their attack goes to him, or you could revive him from the grave and just have his effect destroy everything on the field and get an advantage. That was one way you could do things with Ra. Whilst, in my opinion, the weakest was Slifer because you need to have cards in your hand to give him attack points, while still tributing three monsters to bring him out. So it's one of those things, in my opinion. Obelisk just has a base of 4,000 with destruction effects and an effect that lets him gain infinite attack points. All three have the same effect of being unaffected by spell and trap cards, and if they are resurrected, they only last a turn. So that's some of the stuff they do. So it's yeah, I know Slifer has like a secondary effect where he can do I don't know how much damage to monsters via his second mouth. That's an effect that I'm pretty sure only works when the monster is face up. I'm not sure. So like if you have a monster that's just a flip effect of like destroying cards or doing a certain amount of damage to you, it won't matter if it gets destroyed.
And getting a better
And
weapon.
that's
I don't remember too much about Yu-Gi-Oh! To be brutally honest, so I'm at a loss here. But
well, we can
I
still
do
talk about the
know
characters.
I
Operator,
do
you
know
may
they
number
made
the
up a
wells
lot of
how
effects
Tenno arm themselves.
for just the
Oh
anime
yeah.
only.
Oh, definitely. The anime had weird effects because, okay, so this is how someone explained it to me. The first season of Yu-Gi-Oh is treated more like a Dungeons and Dragons type game, where like different creatures have different type of things. It's like lizards have hard skin. If a monster's in the water, you gotta fight it with electricity to take it out. Fire obviously beats bug, or somehow fusing an undead monster of a living monster equals that monster will slowly wither away and die, but its 3 heads count as 3 separate entities and 3 separate attacks. Or we can go with other shenanigans that the anime has had. Because the original series, even now, throughout the entire Yu-Gi-Oh series, there's always some weird times where like they bend the rules because logic was thrown out the window that day.
It had logic?
In my opinion, and this is just me, but I think GX is better than the first season because GX actually follows the rules with very little in terms of bending it. And what they do is, I summoned this monster in face-up defense mode, when that's not a thing we can do, but I'm willing to let that slide because it doesn't really hurt the game much. It's more of a spectacle for us to see what they're doing. So that's alright in my opinion. I'm trying to think. 5Ds was the first Yu-Gi-Oh series to actually shake things up a bit with what could either be known as riding duels in Japanese or turbo duels. Essentially dueling on card games on motorcycles, essentially. Even though I swear some of those vehicles would not count as motorcycles with how big they were. I think we like... They'd be considered
I watched
like
that series, but the idea of dueling on bikes was like...
They had autopilot.
Okay.
Yeah, well, for most of the duels, but there was later a tournament where the autopilot is turned off, so you actually have to focus on steering while also dueling.
Hold on a second, I gotta make this turn before I play this card.
Yeah, there was some stuff like that. In my opinion, 5D's had a good story of its characters as well, and some really cool monster designs. Some people don't like the CGI that they use. Honestly, I understand the reason for it. It's much easier to use CG models that will than having to constantly redraw the same scene of the same monster every single time. As anyone that's played Yu-Gi-Oh can tell, those monsters are detailed. There's a lot to them. Especially the dragons. Always so over-designed. 5D's obviously... Yeah. 5D's obviously stood for 5 dragons, but who cares about that when we can create a new one just for the sake of popularity. Because in 5D's there were supposed to be 5 dragons to help destroy evil monsters by merging their power to create a god dragon, but the anime retcons that to making there 6 of them. Each dragon was supposed to represent a different archetype or something different. Black Rose is obviously a plant, Red Dragon Archfiend is a demon, Ancient Fairy is a fairy, Stardust is a dragon from space, or it's supposed to represent the infinite potential of reaching for the stars, and Livestream is supposed to be the will to live. At least that's my interpretation of them. I don't know what Blackwing is supposed to represent. It seems more evil than good in my opinion.
Debatable.
Yeah. I mean, there was rumors that originally Crow Hogan, the user of the Blackwing series monster, was supposed to be a dark signer in disguise and betray everyone, but that got scrapped when Konami realized, oh hey, the Blackwing archetype is very popular. Let's not make the character that uses them evil. Might hurt the sales of the cards. So instead, they shoved that storyline of 5 dragons to the side and instead do filler stuff until we get Black Wing Dragon or Black Feather Dragon depending on their translation. Like Black Wing Dragon has a cool idea to it of how it worked in the anime. Practically it's a bit useless. It's like it lowers its attack points depending on the effect damage you take. But it only has 2800 attacks. So what happens if someone does more than its attack points? Does it just not work, or does the monster just get destroyed?
Sounds to be enlightened dragon, to be honest.
Yeah.
There he is.
Target. You know what to do.
So they had all sorts of all the Dark Signers, well, most of the Dark Signers had something against one of the Signers, who are people branded by what's known as the Crimson Dragon, or if we want to use its actual name, Quetzalcoatl. Like, it brands people that are to serve it, and apparently the original plotline was for it to be evil. Like, it pretends to be good, but it's actually a malicious god in disguise that was going to, like, destroy everything once its enemies were out of the way, and just some people worshipped it because it happened to save them. So that was an idea for something. It takes till a later end of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds for us to finally get the true 5th Signer Dragon livestream dragon, and by then the show's pretty much over with only like 10 episodes left.
They didn't even finish in the States.
Yeah, that's a thing I'll always go to. So Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D is the second Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime is an oddity because in the outside of Japan, the anime never actually reached what's known as the Arc Cradle arc. Because as soon as the cyborg from the future, robot from the future, Apoya is defeated, the anime ends. In English, in Japanese, it keeps going. Because he was just a messenger, he was just a follower of a mysterious man named Zone. Who is Zone? Where did he come from? Well, that happens only in the arc, but short of it, he's from the future, and shit's fucked in the future apparently because of synchro summoning. Apparently, people evolved too quickly, and it caused everything to explode. But this is where visual storytelling and what he says is wrong. So I've watched Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds 5 times, and this is a thing I've always noticed. Synchro monsters didn't do anything. It was evil, it was weird robots that came in from space, I think? I have no idea, they just appeared and started destroying everything. So I always question, how is this the synchro monster's fault? The robots did it all. Literally think like Terminator, where like Skynet takes over and destroys the world. Sort of along that lines. But the weird thing is like these robots can absorb synchro monsters and equip them to themselves for extra power. But I still don't see is like, how did the synchro monsters cause destruction? If instead they had shown like people summoning synchro monsters and the monsters going out of control, like, you know, going berserk and destroying stuff, that would have made sense. This does not. So that was a mess. And GX, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX in English ends after the Dark World arc, or the Supreme King arc, depending on how you want to call it. In Japanese, it keeps going after that with forces of darkness entering the world and trying to destroy people or pull them into darkness, with the worst villain name ever. I believe his name was Mr. D or Mr. T. I honestly forget what
probably
the bad
Mr.
guy's
T,
name was.
or probably Mr. D, to be honest, because they couldn't do Mr. T as copyright.
This is Japan. You think they give a shit about that type of stuff? I'm going to Google it real quickly, so because I don't remember. Yo, GX Mr. Yeah, it looks like it was Mr. T. Yeah, or Truman.
Oh, we got Stalker, by the way.
Oh, lovely. We got him following us now.
Yep, so that means
Maybe
we gotta go to a higher level place.
Good. I want his sword. I want it.
Yeah, I want his sword.
Well, I'm the Sword King, so I must have it, because it's our insignia.
Operator? Is that a
You're the only one with that sword.
I will attempt to
Yeah,
bypass
fear
this
me.
fault.
I'll take it from you.
But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's a
I
big
haven't wa-
handful for sure.
Yeah. I haven't watched the latest series that's currently out because I don't know, it doesn't look appealing to me. I don't even understand what their new dueling gimmick is. It looks stupid. I think it's supposed to be 7 something, or I have no idea. It looks like they're trying to do speed duels, like actual speed run dueling.
Yeah, that was the thing is people are more into doing the speed run now because of the app.
What do they call it? Dual terminal or something?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't like. Okay, speedruns, they're cool, they're fine, but I'm not interested in someone that's going to speedrun a freaking duel where you're just going to one-shot me because you used Exodia. Get out of here with that stuff. The only time I'm ever going to use Exodia is when I'm up against the AI in a game where it's unfair.
Have an eye for strategic targets. Ordis has marked key infrastructure for demolition.
Because more times than not, whenever Konami produces a Yu-Gi-Oh game, the AI is unbalanced and has, like, the best chance of getting the cards it needs to kick your butt. And I don't like that because it's not fun, especially not with the ones that just like. There was one back on the Xbox 360 that was pretty good. It was alright. It wasn't a great Yu-Gi-Oh game, but heck, it was good because you could actually verse people online and earn cards without actually needing to pay for them. And well, it was pretty cheap. It was like $10 or so, or it was free. I don't remember. But yeah, you got rewarded for dueling different ways and how well you did in the duel. The main flaw to its multiplayer was one that I don't see how to fix is if one person exited a duel, everyone got disconnected from the duel. And more often than not, people would rage quit in the duel. So there was that. Though there was a free Yu-Gi-Oh game out, but I don't think I should advertise that because, you know, someone might see it and then we might get in trouble for advertising that.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
By the way, everybody who's watching, say hi to YouTube.
Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of cards and a lot of different styles to it. The Link summoning, I kind of like its idea because of... I don't like Link summoning itself, but I do kind of like the nerf that they came up with for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because prior, special summoning could easily like help you swarm the field and destroy your opponent in like a turn, or even just prevent them from doing anything because you got your strong monsters out first.
Yeah, there's some decks that just kind of overrate just about anything other people can do. And
Yeah.
bonkers when you make them.
Yeah. So I believe the last nerf that was done besides the pendulum stuff was limiting the number of extra deck summons a player was allowed to do in a single turn. I think they limited it to like 1, maybe 2. And to me, like, yeah, that's a perfectly fine nerf. Like, because with certain XYZ monsters, you could overlay that monster to summon another one, and just use that to summon another one later. It could get very insane, especially with the Utopia line, where you would, it just got insane with Utopia, to say the least. It was a cool looking monster, I'll say that, but a little over the top in terms of its effects. In Utopia himself, a very decent, standard effect. Once a turn, it will it can negate attacks by giving up its units, and it can even negate its own attack, which is cool because, you know, you might run into a situation where your monster's gonna do an attack and it might kill you, and you could just negate it.
Turn your attention to the reactor core.
Yep.
Locate the console.
Again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is definitely about the game of planning what you're going to do. There's so many effects, and most of them are very specific effects.
Yeah, so they can only... Yeah, so you'll need to remember to... Even though that monster looks cool, you could only put it together with that specific card set in that duel. You can't just take, oh, this monster worked here. No, it's gotta be with its archetype, or it's just useless. The thing I do say is that the anime, at least until Arc 5, always had really good spectacle for the monster battles. That they always looked cool with it. Arc 5, I know I harp on it a lot, but like Arc 5 was sort of very flat and boring with it. Like, there was no like really cool effect to the monster fights. It's just like monster, boom, pop, just gone. No epic clashes, no cool visuals when they had At the in the anime, they always go for whenever a monster gets an equip card, the monster is physically holding that equip card, or it's a physical attachment on them. That's a visual detail I've always liked in the anime because it looks cool. I mean, obviously they can't put that in a game because that's a lot of work and a lot of coding that does not need to be there. Because you probably have a monster that's so covered in equip cards you can't even see it anymore. Just looks like a massive sword, shields, and all sorts of things.
Got that problem in Magic, to be honest.
Too many cards at once?
No, I literally have a deck that is about putting everything on top of this card. Enchantments, equipment, everything.
Jesus. Though, this is a weird thing I will also harp on. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, they're very good with producing their cards. Though Konami was bad at it at first. There was the monster known as Blue Eye Shining Dragon.
On the run.
Shining could only be special summoned if you sacrifice a Blue Eyes ultimate. So to get that you need to combine 3 Blue Eyes at first, or just use a monster that summons it anyway. But Shining was released before Ultimate was printed. So it's like, you can't use this card because it wasn't printed yet. Smart move there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just stretching a wee bit. But, yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also fun, especially since we have also got a little known series known as Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged by Little Karibo. I enjoy Little Karibo's series, it's always funny. If not for him, we wouldn't have Dragon Ball Z Abridged or Hellsing Abridged. Heck, we wouldn't have Abridged series in general. He is the creator of it all because he just started making jokes about stuff.
Oh yeah.
I try
whatever
not
discussion
to.
things have to be about that.
Yeah, we can discuss Abridged stuff later, but short of it, I like his stuff, and the man doesn't deserve all the trouble he's gone through over the years because of a certain somebody constantly harassing him. I won't say names because they might come after us, so we'll just say Little Karibo was fun with his stuff, and he always will be. He's a funny little British man.
If you guys can't tell, also, me and Sword are, well, I'm from the States and Sword is not.
Yeah, I'm from the UK, specifically Scotland. I just don't have the accent that most people expect.
You have an accent.
Yeah, a little.
Operator, are you
But a thing I want to mention is I'm going to post it in the stream so people can look at it. But you'll be able to overlay it when the video is actually uploaded. But this monster is an amalgamation of 4 different archetypes merged into the one card. And it only looks like that in the anime, so it doesn't actually work like that, thankfully, but it's one heck of a boss monster. I think he'd also fit into Monster Hunter. Or maybe Final Fantasy.
You're gonna have to send that to me.
Okay.
I'm sorry I don't have much to say on Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. I'm supposed to be help talking and co-hosting this, but I don't have anything to say about you.
You don't worry.
That's my fault. That's just me rambling. But
Also, if you guys want, you could join into the Discord in the link. Because sooner or later I'll be changing that around to fit the theme of the show.
I don't want to plug my stuff.
That would not be Monster Hunter. I'm saying that now.
Oh,
That would definitely be Final Fantasy.
Probably.
Just the art
And, like,
style of it. It's like, no.
Yeah, he's not rugged enough and not spiky enough for Monster Hunter.
Okay, first off, they're not all spiky. They also have horns.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Nope.
Don't
Yeah.
even, Mari.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble with this. But 5Ds, this is just my personal opinion, but I dislike 5Ds because it became very boring and repetitive at the end. Arc 5, no, Zexo or Zale, however you want to say it, because apparently the X is silent in its name. Either way, I quite like it because it is, I admit, it's very hard to get into it at first because anyone that knows how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Will cringe and bang their head against their table watching how dumb Yuma is. But he is a beginner, and he never got to duel much as a kid because his sister didn't let him, so now he duels in secret. Even then, he still sucks at it at the beginning until he gets his ghosty best bud. And yes, it is sort of similar to the first season. In fact, it ends mostly the same with the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Two have to duel each other for them to part ways. I still think, Zale had fun spectacles with its monsters. They were always so over the top of how they did it. Whilst Arc 5 just sort of falls a bit flat with stuff and doesn't elaborate on a lot of ideas it had. Sometimes they do cool animation stuff, sometimes they don't. There were, some of the character designs are good in the series, but it also makes things a bit confusing if you try to think about timelines. So, best way to think of Arc 5 is, like every other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, besides the first three, I think, it's an alternate dimension version of it all.
So, in short terms, on This Is For All of You, Sword, how would you rate the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series? From the first to the last.
Oh boy, rankings. Well, in terms of my rankings, now, when we ask this, is this in terms of my enjoyment or how good they are overall?
Your opinion.
Okay, for my opinion, I honestly have to give it to... I give it to Arc 5, I give it to Zale at first. Like, Zale would be... Well, it's a swap between Zale and 5Ds. Those two are mix and match. I can swap between them depending on my mood. GX is good as well. It just sort of... I feel... Okay, this is another thing, but I feel like Bastion from 5GX just sort of gets forgotten and turned into comic relief later on. Like, he just gets forgotten. He's the smartest character in the show. His room is covered in math equations, to the point that he had to paint his walls just to put fresh equations on the walls. That is how big of a dueling nerd he is. He even put math equations on a baseball bat. And all those math equations are for multiple decks that he carries on him at all times. He has it like, forget having a grenade vest. This guy has a dual vest. Not in the sense of like it's carrying a dual vest, but literally a deck vest. Just covered in decks. Ready to go at any time for whatever he needs. And he was actually a really skilled duelist, actually locking out the protagonist's main thing. Then the original series, it's good in a lot of areas, but it's also incredibly bad with how they just bend the rules for the sake of the story. Where a character just gets tossed aside. Like, Joey was robbed, like, I'm with a lot of people, Joey was robbed of his chance of actually being a great duelist by losing to Marek. Would have been the ultimate upset of being like, oh my god, a user of a god card got beaten by a user of a non-god card. That would have been amazing. Because like, Kaiba would have had to finally acknowledge Joey as a good duelist. Because let's face it, Kaiba probably would have lost to Yugi, because Yugi can't lose, he's the protagonist. Protagonists aren't allowed to lose major story duels. They can lose non-essential ones.
Now, and they will start destroying the data.
So GX goes above the original series, but below 5Ds and Arc 5. V-Reigns I can't give an opinion on because I have not watched, and I have not watched the current one that's airing, but that's only on its beginning episode, so have to wait like a year or two before we talk about that one, if ever. not sure what else I could say for them other than just give them a box and give your opinion on them. You might agree, you might disagree with me. That's fine. No one's allowed to do that. Though, oddly enough, this is a weird thing, but the last Yu-Gi-Oh movie we had, Dark Side of the Dimension, somewhat follows the card game rules. Like, your base life points are supposed to be 8,000. The anime has always used 4,000. Likely to not have things take too long in a duel.
It's too late.
You know, we don't need some burn or life decks, you know?
Need to be more careful.
Yeah.
With this vault.
They also, I don't remember much about it, but the rules seem to follow the rules pretty easily. Though, a friend did point out that while he did enjoy the movie, he did wish they explained the effect of their cards a bit more so we knew what they did. Because at some points in the movie, they just sort of play cards, they do stuff, and somehow they come out on top. It gets a little weird at times, but it was enjoyable. If you're a fan of the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, you'll definitely enjoy that movie. Pyramid of Light was a pretty good movie, but in terms of its placement in the timeline, it's confusing.
It's anime, okay?
Yeah, never think about it. Just like, don't think about any of the Dragon Ball movies.
Could have executed that guy.
I know, but I pressed the wrong button.
Excuses.
I don't have much to say about anime. The game, though, I swear to God, some of the cards were printed with, like, encyclopedias in mind. Because that's what you'd have to read to understand all their effects.
Yeah, I gloss over those at times because it's just like, I'm not going to use this because it's too much to use in a single duel.
Whoa.
Especially if I'm just doing it with friends. Like, who wants a deck full of, like, did you come to duel or did you come to read a bloody encyclopedia?
Oh, I hate this one.
Oh dear, it's this one. Should I just leave you to this one and go to a different one? Okay. I'm not sure what else I could say for the animes. It's like, they're fun, they're enjoyable, they're a bit goofy and a bit nonsensical at times. But they can be an enjoyable watch, for the most part. Good emotional stuff to them. Though, the dumbest decision that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ever had was the final villain of the original series, his design. Zork, Lord of the Darkness. It's generic demon design, but black, and he has a dragon sticking out of him in his groin area. I wish I was kidding. I am not kidding about this. He has a dragon for his junk. His junk is a dragon.
I'll have to see this card later.
It's not even a card. He's just an evil monster that wants to destroy the world.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just a villain. He's not even a Yu-Gi-Oh card. 4Kids censorship for him didn't help matters with his design. It just made him look even sillier. It makes him look like he's wearing a giant coat. It's so bad looking. Honestly, both the sub and the dub versions of this character are bad looking. My fix for him is very simple. Lose the dragon. Easy.
You have to get that last one, Sword.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where it is, because the map is throwing me all over the place as usual. It's like, go this way, no, go this way. That's a wall, go that way.
Oh.
I can't.
They destroyed the data. This must not happen again with the next vault.
They're tough, but no glass is unbreakable.
Glass? What did I do to get
Yeah,
glass standing?
Some glass enemies showed up and attacked me. There's some stuff going on here. I don't know how this event goes.
Sword!
What?
A Bursa's here.
A person? Oh, one of those annoying ones.
Oh, why do I have to be the one to find you?
Because it likes you.
Hey, like you, Kazu.
I will say though, in terms of character
I
designs,
can't
I
hack it
give,
because of being constantly electrified.
in my opinion, in terms of the character designs, I kind of like 5D's designs a bit more. There's a lot more variety to them, and they're quite fun. Especially with one character that's just known as MC. You basically think of an announcer that you hear in football, but for card games. That's this guy. That's his main job. He's to stand around with a microphone and go, "Oh no, this is happening," or like he's just there to rile up the crowd and keep things entertaining. I liked him. And it's even funnier when in English he was voiced by Goku's voice actor. So you have Goku narrating a duel. So I'll give points to 4Kids for picking him as the voice for the guy. Props to them for that guy.
Console is nearby. If you trigger the alarms now,
The more you
the
know.
enemy will start
Yeah.
destroying data.
I don't know how the dubbing for Zale went, but I don't know how it went for Arc 5 either. I think they just dubbed the whole series without any trouble. So I guess 5D was a bit too dark. Then again, 5Ds does feature a man getting his arm cut off. And there are a
Yu-Gi-Oh!
lot...
went downhill from last time I started watching it.
I mean, to be fair, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been dark. Dark Marek kills his father. What else happens? I don't remember a lot of details about the original series, but it's been a wee while. Yeah, every series has like its own dark gimmick to it. Whether or not
This has been
people...
going on for a while.
Finally.
Extracted. They won't even
I
know
could
it's
not find
gone.
my way into that room.
Retrieved will have to suffice. Get to extraction.
Arc 5's characters, in my opinion, were a bit flat. They were all sort of one-dimensional. I mean, I give praise to 5D for at least, like Arc 5 for trying out a new thing with, what they named entertainment duels. Basically, you put on a show while you're dueling, like, you know, keep the crowd entertained instead of just standing there and playing your cards. Because if you watch the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card tournament in real life, and where you'll not hear the two duelists talk much. Because, like, outside of the anime being, well, dramatic for keeping things entertaining, dueling can actually be quite boring. Even I'll admit that just straight up dueling can be a bit dull.
Another job well
So Arc
executed.
5 tried to have people move around the arena and do stuff to keep the crowd invested in the duel, not just turn off and start looking at other things. This day and age, I can imagine someone's watching a duel, they'd get bored and start looking at their phone, or tab out and go look at other things, or just turn off the thing altogether. But that's about as much as I could think for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is there anything else I could talk about for it, other than, you know,
No, I think
talk
that's
about that?
good to cut it off here.
Alrighty.
So thank you for everybody who was watching. This will
Sorry,
be
I'm the only one. Sorry
Yeah.
if I was the only one talking.
Well, we wanted to give example. I don't know much of Yu-Gi-Oh, so I really couldn't give my 2 cents.
Again,
Just
I
like-
have just kind of like, yeah.
Well,
But
next time we can talk about Borderlands or something that you know as well.
how about this? For the next episode, we're gonna go over all the Ruby girls.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Uh-oh.
poor Yang's gonna be outnumbered.
You don't underestimate the Yang fandom. I might get Yang fans to join me, or even a Nora fan.
What are you talking about?
Anyway.
They're 2 Heroes fans. Alrighty,
Don't
guys.
mess with the mute girl.
Alrighty, guys. So the next episode is gonna be Ruby, and we're gonna go over at least 2 death battles and explaining our opinions on them.
As well as discuss certain subjects involving the show itself that some people have had strong opinions on.
Yep.
But we'll save that for next time when we get to it.
So I've been Kazu,
I've been Sword King.
And I'm Mariah.
and thank you guys for watching.
Don't forget to
YouTube when it goes up. Yeah, it'd be much. Yep. The keyword: opinions. So look forward to this being up around Monday or Tuesday on YouTube. Alrighty. Have a good day, everybody.